Okay, we're ready.
Yeah.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals review session for September 14th, 2020, 10 a.m. session. There is no public testimony during the review session. The following cases are adjourned. Item number 1, A5353BZ, 2402 16 Knapp Street, Brooklyn. Item number 2, 2018-102A, 241 Grand Street, Brooklyn. Item number 3, 2019-69A, 2019-70A, 341, 343 Mallory Avenue, Staten Island. They're dealing with the water main issue with DEP. Item number 4, 2019-196BZ, 41 East 20th Manhattan. Item number 5, 2020-9BZ, 26-1100 23rd Street, Queens. Item number 6, 2019-203BZ, 14443 Farmers Boulevard, Queens. Item number 7, 7204BZ, 14154 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Item number 8, 2018-142BZ, 204 2346 Road, Queens. And an addition is item number 26, 2019-205BZ, 485 Van Sinderen Avenue, Brooklyn. Decision items, item number 9, 5106BZ, 18802 Union Turnpike, Queens.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And with respect to this one, the labeling was corrected on the end, on the elevations. That was the only change needed on the drawings. And so I didn't see any other issues. So I'd like to make a motion to grant, and there are no conditions.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Item number 10, 2018-190A, 32-18 Union Street, Queens.
Sorry. We were just waiting for proof of violations being paid, and that was provided. So I don't think we had any other outstanding issues. If we did, please let us know as you cast your vote. So I'd like to make a motion to grant, and there's no conditions.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Item number 11, 2019-7BZ, 3341 Country Club Road, the Bronx.
Okay. This one, actually, we have some problems with the drawings. Hold on a second. Oh, wait. Yeah. So no submission was required, but on the September 10th, another submission delineating DOB versus Army Corps jurisdiction was provided, signed, and sealed. I think that was at the request of Tracy Benke. This needs to be incorporated into the set that has the site plan that was submitted March 26, 2020. That's what the commissioners were reviewing. That's the layout with the fencing and the planting and so on, the general kind of neighborhood involvement aspect of it. And there was also a submission on April 1st of elevation sections, and they should have all been submitted together into one pile. The problem is, and we could have combined those, but when I looked at them, they're not signed and sealed, I don't think. So what I could suggest is if we could reach out to the applicant this morning and maybe defer decision till this afternoon. And so the applicant sends us those drawings. If anyone finds that they're signed and sealed, and maybe there's like the seal is in a corner, I normally look for the seal in the lower right-hand corner, and sometimes they put it in odd places. So maybe I looked at it too quickly. Commissioner Shanda?
So, Madam Chair, good morning, first of all. I And I didn't see the sign and seal in the elevation, but I did see it in the March 26 submission. It's not where you typically would see on the right-hand side. It's in the middle. So all the pages, and there is an elevation sheet that also BSA 10. It's on the left-hand side next to the photos.
Okay.
That's the
Let me
revised.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me just follow along with you because and also our deputy counsel, Chase Vine, can you take a look at that folder and make sure you're okay with it? Because what we're always concerned about is, we close, we vote, and then we have to reopen because we don't have a good set, right? So
I had one comment, and that is when you look at the plan from March 26 and the building footprint and the location of the stairs, it doesn't match with the last drawing set that was submitted on September 10th, where it shows two set of stairs and the building footprint is slightly different on the DEC jurisdiction side when you compare that to the March 26th. I had, I think that's just a simple clarification of drawings.
Okay, so if it's not consistent, that's another problem. So then, Chase, did you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, a complete set signed and sealed with a current revision date submitted by the applicant would be extremely helpful.
Okay, so what I would like to recommend then, having seen the coordination issue, and then we don't have the elevations that were the April submission of elevations, if we could, because I don't want to put this on for yet another time, if we could reach out to the applicant. So Daryl, this is your case. If you could reach out to the applicant right now, in case they're not listening, and ask them to submit an entire package with all of those drawings coordinated, and to do it immediately. We could either defer decision until later this afternoon, or we could do it tomorrow. Okay? In the interest of not having this delayed yet again for another, because we've been waiting a lot for environmental sign off, and we did get it the time we closed. Okay. Daryl, did you get that? Yeah, okay. He shook his head yes. Or nodded. I never know which way. Nodded is positive, right? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So we're going to go on. We'll defer this one.
Okay. Item number 12, 2019-296 DZ 8484 Franklin Street, Manhattan.
Yeah, just a second. Franklin, we have to defer. I don't really understand what's going on, but we are waiting for LPC sign off, and we had LPC give us actually a letter that says we don't have the authority to vote on this until LPC signs off. So our hands really are tied about this, but we've already, deferred. Well, we closed in June, deferred in July, and here we are in September, and they still don't have it. So I really would like this is Vinroy. So if Vinroy, you could reach out to the applicant, please, and find out what's going on. Like, when do they expect to get an LPC determination? Because that way we can put this on for decision at the right time, Okay. I actually don't see Vinroy's on our site here.
I'm just emailing Todd now.
Okay. No, it's Todd, but okay, you're doing it. Is Vinroy here today? Is Vinroy in today?
I thought I just saw him on this thing.
No, he maybe.
Oh, it's not?
Okay, if you could CC him,
Yeah.
just let him know. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So that one we have to defer because we don't have any choice, but we'll give it some, maybe LPC is now back in the swing. Well, they've been in the swing all summer, so I don't know. Okay.
Okay. Next one is, this is deferred, sorry. Item number 13, 17910 BZ, 249 Duffield Street, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Duffield Street, Brooklyn.
Duffield. Plans were provided showing the revised egress path that conforms to the public assembly application that was also submitted, which was what we were waiting for. So they submitted a public assembly permit application. So we can now vote on it. I don't think there were any conditions. So for a motion to grant, yeah.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
and Commissioner Shibata.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, item number 14, 2796 BZ, 602, 604 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay. A set of plans were submitted on September 10th to clarify the floor area of the PCE. That was a request of our our deputy counsel. The statement of facts was updated to reflect that same breakdown. So, so I would like to make a motion to grant on condition, no outdoor use permitted, and that the ADA accessible shower and changing room must be provided at the first floor. It's shown on the drawings, but I want to highlight that because it's not currently in place. So on that motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shibata.
Aye.
Item number 15, 24708 BZ, 3454 Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay, plans were revised as requested to add a sign at the entrance to the drive-through with respect to noise. And at the request of our deputy counsel, they also provided a BSA resolution that's discussing the history of the site. So otherwise it's okay. And this one, I just want to, again, thank the applicant for a really excellent submission, and to it kind of, and maybe to point out for Jella Prenga and then to distribute to the rest of the project managers a copy of that lighting study that was so perfectly done. And that would be the model for everyone else whenever we're asking for a lumen spread analysis to use that model, because it was just totally on. So anyway, so then a motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shibata.
Aye.
Item number 16, 16209 BZ, 30-33 Steinway Street, Queens.
Okay, plans were revised to clarify the location of the zoning district boundary lines, which is what I had requested just for the future board to understand what had happened with the movement of the district boundary line through a special permit. So I'd like to make a motion to grant on condition that the representation in the cover letter about the frequency, that it was a cover letter submitted in the previous hearing, about the frequency of collection, which is 6 nights per week, alternating recyclables and non-recyclables, and that trash will be stored in the cellar until taken outside for pickup with respect to this commercial use. And we had clarified that it's only this commercial use that we're imposing that obligation because it's the one that's subject to this waiver. So with that condition, a motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shibata.
Aye.
Item number 17, 126-10BZ, 856 Renson Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay, statement of facts was submitted to pick up a typo, but I have to admit that I can't find it because the cover letter says, find it on page blank. So I think it was Commissioner Sheta who had commented about a typo. Can you take a look and see if it was corrected?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. It was a really funny cover letter. They wrote the cover letter and they meant to put that page number in, but then the phone rang. And they never put the page number in.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay. Okay, so then there were no conditions, so I'd like to make a motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Item number 18, 2020-5BZ, 21-10, 44th Drive, Queens.
Okay, no submission was required for this, though we had hoped to receive something from the community board, but never did. But I think there was plenty of time for the community board to comment. And I don't think there were any conditions, so a motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Okay. Continued hearings on the SOC calendar. Item number 18, 207-68BZ, 11558 Dunkirk Street, Queens.
Okay. The statement of facts was revised to request a waiver of the rules under 1 dash. This is for our council to, or our deputy council to focus on. So it was requesting a waiver of rules under 1-07.3D2, which is for an extension of time to obtain a certificate of occupancy. That's what that rule says. But my understanding is this is a request for an extension of term and an amendment. So the waiver request should have been under section 1-07.3B3 little Romanet 2, which is for applying when it's more than 2 years but less than 10 years. The variance expired in 2013, but it's not clear to me that based on that rule, if you look at the text in the rule, and I'm just reading our own very confusing rule, which I know we always talk about trying to amend to clarify, but and eventually we will do a rulemaking. It's not clear to me that proof of continuous use since 2013 or prospective substantial prejudice is required under either of those two rules. A discussion of prospective serious loss, though, was provided, as was a revised financial statement in support of continuing the non-conforming use, and that statement was a condition of the prior approval. So whether or not required by the rules, I think the question of substantial prejudice has been fully addressed. Photos, but I'm not sure that the question of continuous use was addressed because it was just a statement in the statement of facts or in the cover letter and wasn't provided with supporting documentation, I don't think. They made reference to leases, but I didn't see them. Go ahead, Commissioner Otley Brown.
No, I thought they made reference to leases earlier, like prior to this hearing.
Okay.
Or-
So I'm not even sure it's necessary according to our rules, but the photos of the site significantly cleaned up, show that it was significantly cleaned up with repaired sidewalk and removal of the illegal construction at the rear and rooftop debris. was shown in those photos. I wish though that the photos had been keyed to a plan. I just would like to alert project managers that please always request photos be accompanied by plan keys. And applicants should always provide them. It's very difficult for us to figure out where things are. You're having to like say, oh, look, there's one little piece of a fence and that fence is in the other photo. So that must be the turn on this other picture. And we're having to create these puzzles, and instead a key plan would be really helpful. All of the photos showing sidewalk repair also show there's parking in front of the building on the sidewalk. That's forbidden, and they need to post signs to disallow parking on the sidewalk. Photos of the front and side facades need to be provided, but you can get some sense of them from other photos. Again, I would like to note to project managers and the applicants in general that it's always advised to provide photos of the entire site so as not to leave open questions by commissioners about various site conditions that aren't shown in the most recent submissions, which ends up delaying the processing of the application. So sometimes we'll say, it's great over here, but how do we know it's great over there? It's just safer. Walk around the entire building, take photos of all the perimeters, the facades of the building, front and back and everything, and submit it in its entirety each time. We discussed at the prior hearings that the facades are a hodgepodge of brick and infill, and hence must be painted stucco or otherwise repaired to be a uniform finish. The front facade faces houses across the street. This is a very residential neighborhood just across the street. And it really needs to be respectful of them. Also, the raw concrete block side facade is visible both from the adjoining property's windows. There's a 2-story residential building next door, and also from the sidewalk. So it should be painted with a uniform finish so that the building is kind of presentable in this residential neighborhood. A landscaping plan was provided showing a 5-foot 8-inch measured front to back in-ground planting bed with staggered tall and lower plantings. They should provide a section detail showing, and that's again, a note to project managers, never accept the landscaping drawings unless it shows a section through the planting bed that therefore shows a curb, and where there's going to be head-in parking shows wheel stops, because we shouldn't have to ask for this every single time. It should just be like standard procedure, and applicants who are listening, please make sure that you never submit your landscaping drawings without a detail of the planting beds. They should provide a center to center spacing of the dimensions on the drawings between the spruces. So they're having spruces and then sort of these lower bushes in between the spruces. But I was looking up the particular spruce that they selected. It's known as a dwarf spruce. So its maximum growth height is 6 to 8 feet. You intentionally buy it because you're in an area where you don't want them to grow tall. But in this case, what we're trying to do is shield the second story of the house next door that looks into this very industrial use from looking into the industrial use. So you shouldn't be going for a tree that only grows to the height of the fence, because then you have a fence, right? So I was looking up other kinds of trees, and there's something called and since they picked the spruce, there's an Alberta spruce. No, sorry, not a Meyer spruce, M-E-Y-E-R, which is planted 12 feet apart and grows very tall. So they should check, and it's apparently very resistant to bugs, to everything. So it might be a really good choice. Not a landscape expert, obviously, so they should reach out to their landscaper to verify its suitability for this site, but otherwise they should be picking trees that grow taller than what's shown. the dilapidated fencing all around the perimeter and at the front gate needs to be replaced and be opaque. I would note that there is metal picket at the adjacent residential property, and at the properties across the street are either decorative metal picket or metal picket on top of a low brick wall, and that the fencing that's used to get into this site should be sensitive to that aesthetic. And I think those were my comments. Vice Chair Shanda?
I agree with your comments. I have no additional things to say.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
The financials were revised, and basically most of my questions have been addressed. They've inserted a residential adjustment rationale for all of the different adjustments, and those are acceptable. The only question that I have that wasn't addressed appropriately was as regards the construction costs and the source for their construction cost material. So while they said they actually used demo costs that were less than what were suggested by their cost estimation, I guess, documentation that they use, which is engineering news record, and they were arguing that they should be able to use that versus the Marshall and Swift cost factor that I had requested because they said it's more accurate for New York City. They said that I stated that the hard costs were $400 a square foot, and what I was saying was that both the hard and the soft costs came out to $400 a square foot, and I thought that was high. I had suggested they use Marshall and Swift because that encompasses a lot of the soft costs. So if we could get a cost factor for that, I would see whether or not the $400 a square foot that they were using was too high or if it was more or less appropriate. Still in all, if we were to halve their construction costs, it still wouldn't change the fact that residential just simply isn't going to work because you're demolishing a viable building and you have to rebuild that building. And then the income that you're going to get for residential in this neighborhood that's far from all the different services and also not really providing a lot of amenities would not be enough to overcome that construction cost, even if it was halved. So given that, I'm okay with the financial. And I have no other questions.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. Other than the statics regarding the planting and the landscaping and probably stuck in the front wall that could be seen from the adjacent residential, they are talking about like parking in that driveway and in the back as well. I'm not sure if the parking is going to impose noise to the adjacent residential and whether an acoustical fencing is needed along that property line. This is one of the things that I want them to like clarify that, explain why they excluded providing acoustical fencing. In addition, I see that they are electing some portions of the perimeter of the site to provide landscaping and other beautification things. I'm not sure if they are saying for now the adjacent properties are not residentials, and I'm not sure if it could be residential in the future. So they could consider that they may need to consider that if there is an adjacent piece of land right now that's not residential, could it be in the future? And we don't want to like hurt whoever owner of that piece of land next to them just because they don't want to like install landscaping or acoustical fencing or whatever. So they need to explain to us why they want to provide landscaping where they are proposing to, not like along the perimeter of the entire property.
So one part of the perimeter is a railroad track. So that part, the part in the back is railroad track. Yeah.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah. Okay. And Commissioner Shabeta, and I see Commissioner Shanda had her hand up.
I don't have much to add. I do second the statements that were made by the chair and by Commissioner Otley Brown. The only thing I did want to say is I really did like, while I agree that the applicant should take photos of the entire site, I really do like the before and after pictures that they did. I think it does show a great way that the amount of work that they actually did complete, notwithstanding the other things that we said need to be done as with regard to fencing, but it does show that the applicant has taken this seriously and has been taking steps to clean it up. And it also shows the focus of what our comments, some of our comments were at the last hearing. So I really appreciate the side-by-side before and after. And that's all I have to add.
Thank you. That's Commissioner Shanda, Vice Chair Shanda, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I think I just want to respond to one question that Commissioner Shetta had raised with regards to, I believe Commissioner Shetta is referring to the portion of the site that is abutting the railroad, and about 19 foot of it is abutting what is the in C2, 3 and R5D district. That's the section I believe you're referring to. That frontage is about 19 foot, and it's a very long, if you look at the tax map, it's an extremely long, narrow, irregular strip that is almost not possible to have any residential building built along that strip. The frontage is along Linden Boulevard, and any development that will happen would be just within that extremely irregular site along along Linden Boulevard, and the 19 foot, because you won't be able to meet any of the side yards, any of those, resulting in a feasible footprint. So I think it will always remain almost as a backyard or a shed for all the commercial tools and other things like that. So, I mean, this site has an unusual amount of frontage with other residential use, and I think our focus should be with the residential building that is on 120, lot 125 and 118, which is what they are trying to address by providing all the landscaping and fencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in terms of future development, you never know, of course. You could tear down all of the buildings and build a residential building on the entire lot. So you really never know. I think in terms of the shielding, there could be a condition that if in future there becomes a residential use along the property line that's now commercial, that attention be, for instance, there was an interesting condition imposed on this site by the prior board about financials. So we could say if the properties that are now adjoining that are commercial ever become residential, then a landscaping buffer should be installed, something like that.
Yep.
Because you can't predict how land is assembled. Okay.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, item number 19, 18797 BZ, 14802 Rockaway Boulevard, Queens. And we did receive revised photos.
Mm-hmm.
We saw photos of the planting.
Yeah. Okay, just 1 second.
This is Jolene's case.
Yeah, sorry, I need to make a note from the last one, otherwise I'll forget. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
You want me to re-announce it, or you're okay?
No, I'm okay. I just had to finish writing. So they submitted bubble drawings, or they called them bubble drawings, but they actually didn't bubble the changes. They bubbled some changes, not all changes. So the definition of a bubble drawing set, the reason we asked for it is for us to be able to see what changed on the drawings. So you have to show all the changes. There is a planting bed behind the dumpster area that should be planted with dense shrubs to buffer the adjoining use. And I initially said, oh, no, rhododendrons, that's not going to work because they don't grow tall enough, right? But then I learned something so interesting about rhododendrons. apparently they're poisonous and rats won't eat them. So as a result, and this is something Commissioner Otley Brown sort of pointed out to me, that she'd had a recent observation about rats in a planting area. So I started to get really interested in the subject of rat infestation in planting beds. And I found the weirdest website that I shared with her. It's called The Care and Feeding of Your Pet Rat.
Ooh.
And it's true that in places not New York City, where rats grow to be the size of small dogs, people have pet rats, right? I think we all watch Disney movies with pet rats, right?
My granddaughter actually has pet rats. It's
You see?
disgusting. They're
So
white.
there's a list of things not to feed your rat, and if your rat gets sick, what they might have eaten. And one of them is the rhododendron plant. So in response to them selecting the shrub of rhododendron, I thought it's a brilliant suggestion because it's right in front of, or right behind, the trash storage. So what I read in the Botanical Gardens website is that that rats go to a place for food, and if there's trash nearby, they'll munch on the trash, and then they'll go hide under the bushes. But if the bushes are poisonous, they won't pick those bushes. So there's no place to hide. So that's pretty great. And that the trash containers themselves have to be really well closed. So in future, we really need to discuss, the kinds of dumpsters. We often see dumpsters where they're basically in an open, they're open like this and piled high. That doesn't prevent the rodents from coming, right? So, so anyway, so this was extremely helpful. From now on, it's not just rhododendrons. There's a whole bunch of other ones, philodendrons and azalea bushes. There's decorative flowers that are poisonous. Yay, okay. So on the dumpster enclosure, they show 3 dumpsters, and I don't know why so many, because that, unless they're recyclables or something like that, I don't understand why they have 3. What it looks to me like it's doing is it's discouraging a frequent pickup, because if you have 3 dumpsters, you can move to the next, to the next, to the next, and only get, say, a pickup once a week, and that's not okay. So we need to know what the pickup schedule is. It needs to be frequent, and why they have 3 dumpsters. The planting bed, there's one planting bed that is 3 feet out to out at the parking area, and that may be an insufficient dimension to support the trees. So it should really be increased to 5 feet inside clear, as it is with the other one that's on 148th Street. And that would allow for the staggered planting front to back to create the dense buffer. That was the whole point of having the planting along that perimeter. They also must provide wheel stops for the head-in parking in front of the beds. And I'm going to repeat again to all of our project managers, send the drawings back if you don't see wheel stops in front of the planting beds, because it becomes a comment that we make, and there's no reason to delay the application because this drawing doesn't show wheel stops. Because actually a curb is never adequate to prevent the overhang of the cars. I think that the cover letter said they'll use a metal curb, but that's not a wheel stop. That still allows the overhang of the cars. I'd like to understand the fencing condition along the rear property lines. It should be the same as the side lot line on Rockaway Boulevard. Again, that was maybe from photographs. I couldn't really put it together. The photos show the masonry wall along the rear property lines cracked and in need of repair, and raw masonry and in need of painting. That's photo number 33. And one masonry wall is shown having been increased in height, so they did actually add to the height of that masonry wall. But I'd like to know how it's finished on the side that's facing the neighbor, because it's actually a raw masonry wall. And if they didn't stucco and paint it, then the neighbor is imposed upon by something that's really unsightly. Only 9 photos were provided in this submission. but the key plan shows 37 photos. So the assumption then is that we have to go back and look at the old photos, the first set of which were submitted in March of 2019 and in March of 2020, which are really not helpful because those old photos don't represent the current conditions. So you should never be submitting only a few photos that are on the key drawings. And again, I'm going to say to the project managers, do not accept those types of photo submissions. All the photos have to be new, and the key plan has to include, if the key plan says there's 37 photos, then there needs to be 37 photos attached to the submission. The other thing is the wooden picket fence is shown as being in bad shape and needing to be replaced. And really, I had trouble figuring out which planting beds are shown in which photo. We talked about the oil drums being stored on site. The applicant submitted a section 23-2307 of the Environmental Conservation Law to argue that they have a right to store those drums on site. But if you look at the text of that law, it requires that there be periodic pickups. So I'd like to know how frequently those pickups are. And I'd also like to know where it's okay to store them in between pickups, because they can't just be stored out and about like that near the cars. It should be stored in the dumpster enclosure area or inside if that's okay with fire department. But really, I would like fire department to comment on where those should be stored in the event it's okay to take them, because there's also waivers on taking them that is included in that law. So that's a request to Chief Daly to comment during the hearing on this one. Also, there was a photograph, and photograph 37 showed there was debris leaning up against the fence that needs to be removed. So this is kind of a mixed project. Some of the project requires construction, like they're going to be removing the existing toilet room and locating it in another place. And so they're suggesting that they'll do some of the improvements after construction, which is fine. But the question is, how many of the improvements can be done now, since the photos were submitted? And because, otherwise, do we do something where we allow this to proceed? We give a short leash, and then we say, come back in a year or something like that, so that we can take a look to see if all the site improvements were done. And, I'm more inclined to doing that now during this weird time where it's so hard to find construction workers. It's interesting, but it turns out like lumber yards and landscapers are out of everything because people being home, they've been improving their places. And so you can't actually buy anything now. So anyway, so that's an inclination. So Vice Chair Shonda.
I would be inclined to grant this on condition and have them come back sooner to ensure that all the improvements have been taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have any other comments though?
No, all the other comments you have raised, I agree.
Okay. Commissioner Ollie Brown.
I don't have any other comments to add. I agree with Vice Chair that perhaps we should condition the grant and see the progress made in the future, given the trouble with COVID and supply chains.
Okay. Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with conditioning the grant. This is first thing. Second, I don't want to be repetitive and repeat what is said, and I agree with all of it. The only thing that I want to add, or two things. Number one, the drums. They mentioned that they don't want to remove the drums because DEC required them to collect like oil that's changed by vehicle owners and like given to them. Apparently, this is the law and DEC requires them to accept it. And they are implying that these drums are for storing this kind of oil. I would say that you're not the only station that play by the law and abide to the law, if this is the law. And I understand that you want to store that oil on site, but do not store it in drums, because drums could be confused with something else. So you could probably have a small storage, oil storage tank that could be like filled with that kind of oil, and when it's full, it could be emptied and disposed per law. So this is one thing. So I still believe that drums need to be taken offsite, and a storage tank need to be installed. The other thing is, in one of the photos, and I was just looking at them, that they were submitted, I believe today. I saw the email like probably 15 minutes ago. There is a cover letter that is submitted on September 9th with some photos, and on page 5 of the PDF, photo number 42, I have two issues with that. I believe, number one, this is kind of a warning. I'm not even requiring them to do it. It's not my scope or our scope, but I believe if you look at the gate for the trash enclosure, when it opens, if it's a rainy day and this electric box on the wall get hit by some rain, probably if the gate touches that box, it could be a danger of like electric shock to whoever touches that gate if there is something wrong with the box. So I would commend them to consider providing some sort of protection for that electric box. Again, this is photo number 42 on page 5 of the PDF that came with the email from our project manager today.
And we just got it this morning. We just
Yes.
got it now, right?
Yep,
I'm looking
yep.
at it on my phone.
Yep.
Sorry, photo
Page
number,
5.
yeah, photo number 42, you said.
Yes, it's page 5 of the PDF. That could be easier to find it.
But where do you see the electric box?
You see, are you looking at the trash enclosure
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the gate? You
yeah.
see the electric box right next to the
Right.
gate to the right hand side,
yeah,
next to the roof drain.
yes,
Yes, I know that this is kind of a steel electric box, and even it has like a light on it to show that that thing is live or dead, or it's working or not working. So if it rains and rain could hit that box like strongly and becomes wet, I'm afraid that like it becomes like live, the entire box body could be like electrocuted. And if somebody opens that gate and it touches that box, it could be dangerous. And the second thing, the roof drain, it sounds like the roof drain is draining to another floor drain that's elevated probably like a foot or so
yeah.
above the finished grade. There is no real connection here. I can't see a real connection. So I'm afraid that all the storm water coming from the roof is just gonna be like, displaced on the ground.
Mhm.
So I would commend them to fix these things. But other than the drum issue, I have no other comments.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shabeta?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any other comments. I do agree with the Vice Chair with regard to granting this on condition. That is, of course, we have a suitable answer. I was having some difficulty opening, and I think it's my own computer issue, opening the lumen spread. I just wanted to make sure that the other commissioners were satisfied with it.
Mhm. Yeah. Opening this morning's submission. you mean?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I'm opening it, and again, it's not clear. There is a key. I'm I'm not sure I can figure it out at the moment. But anyway, so it looks like though that little area that's behind the trash that was supposed to be planted with rhododendrons is actually planted with, what do you call it? With an evergreen, which is not something that rats don't like. So maybe they could add they could actually follow their own landscaping drawings as part of the project. Okay. Okay.
Well, nothing further from me then.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, move on.
Mhm.
Item number 20 to 9091 BZ, 636 City Island, the Bronx.
You said item number 20 or 21?
Item number 20.
Oh.
90-90, do I have a wrong calendar? 90-91?
No, it's the right number, but I thought it was 21, but maybe I misnumbered the calendar. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter.
636 City Island Avenue, the Bronx.
Right, okay. Okay, some photos showing what I consider to be pretty sad efforts at landscaping the perimeter were provided. I hope that the owner will be here at the hearing to discuss the status of the site and what could be done when to comply with our instructions at the prior hearings. I mean, I am very aware of the suffering of business owners now, and everyone is. This has been going on for a really long time though, so that an unresponsive applicant who may have been going through also financial issues, but we do need to get to some place where the site is improved and that the owner doesn't needlessly spend money in an, you know, sometimes what we see with these landscaping efforts is that rather than, this is always that version of cheap is expensive, rather than hiring somebody who actually knows what they're doing, they go to some landscaping store, they buy some bushes, they ask for their friends to come and help them dig up the concrete this weekend. They dig up the concrete using sledgehammers, and then they dig a little hole around the broken up concrete, and then they stick the little tree ball in, and they think that that's gonna work for a surviving tree, which it won't. So within a short time, those trees will die because there isn't any topsoil, and then they won't be in compliance with the terms of our grant. And so they'll be called back for a compliance hearing. And I really would ask that the applicant's counsel discourage their clients from trying to do these sort of ad hoc remedies, because in the end, it's going to make life just kind of miserable for them. And the way that that was done seems to me that's when you're going to have problems with rats, you know, those kinds of things where they're really not attending to it in a way that is meant to endure or in the end even acceptable to us. So I don't have more comments because the efforts were fairly limited, even though there was one day of some serious sledgehammer work among friends, I'm taking a guess, in order to make that thing that isn't a planting bed, because planting beds have particular requirements and this doesn't meet them. Any other comments, Commissioner Shanda?
No, I do not. I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I agree with you on the planting bed, the broken pavement. I don't understand what would possibly grow amidst all of that broken pavement. So I think they need to take the time and actually put topsoil in there. Do it professionally.
Okay. Commissioner Shetta?
No, I agree. I have nothing else to add. I don't believe plants grow in crushed concrete. I haven't heard of that.
What I have seen is when there's a serious rat problem around a tree, the exterminators come and they put these sort of little granite stones, like crushed granite, all around the base of the tree and bury one of those rat traps. And I don't really know what's going on there because it seems like the rats can get underneath the stones even. But so for me, it was looking like maybe an exterminator came in, and then I realized, no, it's actually, they didn't even bother to take away the crushed concrete and put soil.
Yeah.
Okay, and Commissioner Shabeta.
Nothing further from me on this.
Okay. Okay, so I encourage the applicant to, and maybe Ms. Pranga could call the applicant if they're maybe not listening yet. Encourage the applicant to call the owner to join in on this hearing so that we can at least understand what the situation is and how we can move forward, as opposed to getting that information third hand from their counsel. Okay.
Okay, done?
Mm-hmm.
This concludes the public review session for 10 a.m. September 14th, 2020. We'll now commence with the public hearing for September 14th, 2020, 10 a.m. session. Did you put the screen up or not?
Yeah.
Apologies, I'm having technical difficulties with screen sharing. Just a second.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we have John Chaffone, who has his hand up. I don't know if he's one of the applicants, but Amanda is in.
Okay, so the first item, should I begin, Madam Chair?
Yeah, yeah.
So the first item again is number 18, 20768 BZ, 11558 Dunkirk Street, Queens. The applicant is Caliendo Architects.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy is here.
Ah, she's there. Okay. State your name when you can hear us, please, Ms. Agnostu. And
Yes, Sandy Anagnostou representing the applicant.
Okay,
okay.
I have to swear you in.
Wait, so just a question. Someone named John Chiaffone has his hand up. Is that person with you?
No, not with me.
Okay.
Maybe his neighbor, I don't know, but he's.
Our
not
registration,
how
our
about
registration
Mike?
indicates that he's here for calendar number 90-91 BZ.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, Sandy, you're the only one?
Mr. Green, I believe, and Barbara Cohen.
Oh, they're not here.
They're not waiting. So,
I have to swear you in.
yes,
Okay, so do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Okay. Proceed, state your name for the record and proceed.
Sandy Anagnostou representing the applicant. I heard the comments earlier in the review session. We will revise the statement of facts with the correct section for the extension of term, more than 2 years but less than 10, since this expired in 2013. We did submit evidence proving the continuous use, and that was leases. Back many years, we submitted those leases and we showed that there was never a time where this building was vacant. Not any time, and certainly not for 2 or more years. So I point to that. As far as the site itself, there was substantial work that Mr. Green has completed so far. Clean up the roof, he repaired the sidewalks, and he also removed that illegal extension, and we submitted photographs for that. The board would like us to post signs to disallow parking on the sidewalk in front of the, is that in front of the parking area or in front?
No, the side, right on the building itself, put signs up, no parking on the sidewalk.
Okay, so we'll put those signs up. We'll have those signs made. And then the board would like us to submit photographs with a key plan, and we'll be more attentive to that. A key plan of the front and side facades, and actually the whole site once the work is completed. The board would also like a more uniform finish to, sorry.
Miss Agnostic,
Am
I can't hear you.
Okay. Am I speaking now?
Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes,
You can hear me?
yeah.
But I don't
Madam
think
Chair,
the
can't
chair
hear you.
The chair can't hear me, it seems.
Marjorie, I can't hear you. Marjorie.
Hello?
I can't hear you.
Wait, who's speaking? Wait, please don't speak.
Steve
Hello,
Green,
don't speak.
Now who's speaking here?
Yeah. Madam Chair, can't hear you.
The chair can't hear me, it seems.
Marjorie, I can't hear you. Marjorie.
Whoever has the YouTube on, please turn it off. Okay.
Okay,
Just give us a-
Sandy? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Sandy,
yes.
should we wait just for a little bit for, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Marjorie, there you go. Okay, we can hear Marjorie.
Sorry, I lost everything, so I had to go out and come back in. Sorry,
Okay.
continue, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was saying that the board would like to see photographs of the front and side facades and the entire building. Once the work that we'll discuss today will be completed, and those photographs should be keyed into a map. So the work that I understood that the board still wants us to do is repair the fence. The front gates of the parking area, and is it the fence along? Oh, I think we
And the
lost
entire
audio.
building, once the work that we'll discuss today will be completed and those photographs should be keyed into a map. So the work that I understood that the board still wants us to do is repair the fence. The front gate of the parking area and the fence along, so I think the entire building.
Is it, I'm sorry.
Does someone have the YouTube on in the background?
Sandy, I'm sorry. Is it me or Sandy? You're in it. You're dropping in and out. Is it me or is it just everybody? I don't know. Is she dropping in and out? Sim?
Myself being delayed, like I'm speaking and then the audio is coming in later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, does someone have the YouTube on?
What is going on?
I think,
I'm sorry, me or Sandy, you're in it, you're dropping in and out. Is it me or is it just everybody? I don't know. Is she dropping in and out?
Someone is streaming the YouTube live, and
Yeah.
that's the latency that we're hearing.
right.
Oh, okay. That was me probably.
All right, whoever is on the YouTube, please turn it off.
Okay.
Is that Mr. Green?
Yeah, I think it was me. I had it on.
Okay, please turn
I
it off.
just put
Thank
it-
you, sir.
It should be off now.
Okay. Sandy, you want to continue?
Sure, so the chair can hear us now? I guess, okay. So we'll provide photographs of the front and side facades, which the board said should be painted or stuccoed for a uniform finish. But right now, part of the facade is a glazed brick, and then certain areas that were painted. So we'll look at that. I'm not sure we need to paint and stucco the entire building because The owner actually likes the glazed brick. It's a special brick, and he'd like to keep the brick so he can repaint the areas that were painted and put fresh paint on that. And then there were certain areas which were patched up and bricked off, and he can paint those to match the rest of the building. But the brick area, the glazed brick, he actually would like to keep that, is what he mentioned to me, if he's on the line. Mr. Green?
Yeah. It's a blue glazed brick. Blue glazed brick, which is not supposed to be painted, and I personally like it. Now, there's other parts of the building which we do paint and should be painted, but that particular part, it's supposed to be not painted. Now, everything, forever, but anything is not forever. But the rest of the building, I think, could be painted, but that part, the blue glazed brick, and there's a sandy brick, it's like 3 colors, I think look nice. And the other parts can be painted. It's not offensive, certainly. I think it looks nice.
Mr. Green, I'm sorry. Can I just sway you in sort of backwards? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, counsel, I forgot to swear him in.
Anyway, that as far as the painting goes, that's what I think. I like that glazed brick. It's like a glazed blue brick that I've never seen anywhere else.
Marjorie, can't hear you. You're muted, Marjorie. Oh.
She's having technical difficulties. We're working on it.
Difficulties, please.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hello?
Should I try to?
Yeah, go ahead, Vice Chair. Vice Chair.
I think the concern that was raised is that within the blue glazed and there are other brick patterns that are coming in. So there's a lot of material in front. So if there's a way that's those elements can be made more uniform, so that it doesn't look like a patch-up job. That's really what, so look into that and see how that can be improved upon. Because I'm looking at the facade and there right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different material treatments. So if there's a way to unify them and the chair is asking for, you have 2 very distinct brick types and then you have a third one and you have some painting. So try to unify them. Madam Chair?
I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you hear?
Yes.
But I think I have so much echo. I don't know what to do.
If you turn off the sound from your computer,
I
should
did.
remove. Okay.
Still echoing, right? Yeah, it's not working. I'm gonna hang up.
I can't hear myself. Okay, I don't know what to do because can you hear me at all?
Yes.
I can't hear.
You're
I
fine
can hear
now.
you.
We can hear you.
Okay, this is a real problem. Okay, I'll try. Okay, so yeah, go ahead. So the issue is that I appreciate the glazed brick, but the brick infill is not acceptable. So either you match the glazed brick with a matching infill, or something else has to be done because it looks terrible from the street.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll make the building look more aesthetically pleasing, more uniform.
I mean, sometimes you end up having to put paneling or something like that up. I just don't, or you take glazed brick from some other part of the building and you use that to infill those scars. Yeah, I don't know what the solution's going to be. And then also the side wall that's concrete block.
Okay. The other comment was the board wants us to provide a section detail through the planting beds as part of the proposed landscaping plans. We'll do that. And also to replace the one type of tree that we specified should be replaced by Meyer spruce. That would be the dwarf spruce, which wouldn't grow tall enough. And we should look at trees that tend to grow taller. So we'll look at that. And the detailed drawing should show center to center between the spruces.
Correct. So,
Okay.
and then also you have one planting bed. Oh no, I take it back. I'm mixing it up with another one. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and then we spoke about the fencing. So there are parts of the fence where they are in disrepair, that one of the gates is actually needs repairing, and then there are parts which are okay. So what Mr. Green was proposing to do was to replace the actual chain links and repair the fence in areas where it's disrepaired, and totally replace the opaque screening material, put in new screening material. If he's on.
So it's a little hard to pinpoint each thing. The idea is that the completed product is in very good condition and uniform throughout. So because to say, you know, take out this little piece and do this to it is not what we do, right? We're looking at uniformity of the final results so that moving forward, we have a nice product that is respectful of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
and
Yeah,
then-
we could do that.
yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, and in terms of that front fence that brings you into the parking, the reason I brought up the metal picket fence is you see all in that neighborhood, all the residential properties have metal picket. So metal picket with or without the opaquing, I'm not sure what other commissioners think about the opaquing. It's just that the decorative metal fences are much more residential in character, as opposed to that kind of swing fence that ends up with those little slats that end up falling apart because those swing fences get a lot of use, right? And the slats really don't withstand that kind of use. So maybe even a wood or a vinyl picket fence, something that's residential in style that therefore allows for opacity on that swing gate.
We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
So I think those were the main questions. As far as the financials, Commissioner Otley Brown had some issues at the last hearing, and I believe those were addressed by Ms. Cohen and the cost estimator, Maurice Biolay. I'm not sure if there are any other further questions about that.
No more
No.
questions.
Okay, great. So I then would like to go to invite the public to comment on this.
Okay, this case is 20768BZ, 115-58 Dunkirk Street, Queens.
And I don't know if there's anyone in the waiting room, any attendee that's been identified as wanting to speak on this.
Everybody who is an attendee right now has registered as part of an applicant team.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so in the meantime, while we wait to see if anyone else calls in, we have one one person with their hand up. Commissioner Shetta has his hand up. Go ahead, Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. Just to to cover the holds, they are saying that if they want to switch to a residential, they need to knock down the existing building. Understood. But if they can add to the statement facts, like a very small paragraph, why they believe that the building cannot be altered instead of like demolished and rebuilt. So that would be like helpful, and it covers some of the whole.
I think actually in defense of that, that was the initial submission that they made, where they actually provided a drawing of the existing building converted to residential, which it doesn't lend itself to because it's such a wide site, you know, it's such a deep site and a deep building. I think they actually already addressed that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Otley Brown. You're muted. You're muted. Or maybe you're
I'm
having
sorry,
the same problem as I.
Could you repeat that, please? What did you just say?
Yeah. So I said that. So Commissioner Shetta's comment was, could they add to the statement of fact a paragraph about why they couldn't repurpose the existing building for residential use, as opposed to the way it's proposed now is to demolish the existing building and build new. And I said that I thought in the very first submission, there was an or maybe it was a second, there was an as-of-right drawing showing conversion of the existing building to residential use and showing how ridiculous it is because it's such a long, deep building. So it really doesn't lend itself to that type of use. And I think it might have been us who said, that's not believable, show it instead as a tear down.
We did. Originally, it was a very deep building, and we said you should actually show us what you would actually have as an apartment building and cut it back and give us a rear yard and give us open spaces and articulate the building shape in a better way that's more amenable to residential use. And then the argument became that you couldn't reuse the building. You would have to cut so much of it apart, and it would be so costly that it just made sense to get rid of it and just build from the ground up. That's how the argument morphed. And to me, it was convincing.
Yeah. So I would say that question's been answered through lots of submissions. So I wouldn't want to have the statement of facts amended. Okay. Okay. So then I would ask how much time you need to just do these additional improvements, and then, yeah.
So I discussed that with Mr. Green, and he feels he would need 2 months to do the
Okay.
work and then come back for another hearing.
Okay. So I think that 2 months, that's reasonable. We'll have 2 months to submit the photographs showing the work is done. And then I think we can move on with this application. I do appreciate, Mr. Green, your cooperation, responsiveness, and understanding about what the board's trying to achieve, especially your cooperation during a time when it's pretty difficult to cooperate. So
it is. Believe me,
yeah.
Extra effort is needed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're cognizant of this and really appreciative of your efforts. So, so do your best in these next 2 months, and we'll come back then, and we'll let you know when that hearing is. Okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Just
thank you very much.
2 more things
Yeah?
I want to mention. I agree with there being a condition that in the future, if the adjacent industrial use becomes residential, or that area, that small little 19-foot wide area, that acoustical fencing and landscaping could be provided. But if that could be a condition, I agree with that. I don't think it's appropriate at this time. And then the other
No.
thing,
Right.
yes. And then the other thing was we submitted list of use group 16 and 17 uses, which we felt were appropriate because the board is concerned they don't just want to give us a wide use group 16 and 17. So we discussed it carefully with Mr. Green and highlighted the uses that we thought would be appropriate. Right now, he does have 2 tenants, but and leases, but in the future, a tenant may move out. And actually, someone has called him, is interested in leasing the property as catering, not catering hall, but they would prepare food and then they provide catering at events outside at other venues. Is that something that he could possibly have here?
Yeah. So that's interesting. It's true. None of us focused. I don't know. Do any other commissioners have comments at this point? None of us focused on those use groups. I apologize. So we'll take a look for the next hearing and at those proposed use groups. The issue is always like commercial catering when it's not a banquet hall, right? We have to be careful. We're talking about catering where they prepare food. Is similar in sort of traffic intensity to what you're doing right now, right? So what we're looking at in terms of those use groups is ones that maintain the similar type of traffic and truck activity and also pedestrian activity. We don't want it to shift into something where hundreds of people are arriving every day and increased car traffic and truck traffic and everything, right? So if you want to supplement your submission with additional information about that, like why the ones that you're proposing, how those are similar to what you currently have, that will help us frame our determination.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do
Great.
that.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Green, for attending this hearing also. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Next item is item number 19, 18797BZ, 14802 Rockaway Boulevard, Queens. Mr. Kanzada is the applicant.
Morning.
Morning.
Do we have to be sworn in first?
Yeah, are you the only one,
Yes.
Mr. Oh, okay. Raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, please state your name for the record and proceed.
My name is Diwakar Gupta.
Okay. Nasir J. Khanzada, I'm the applicant.
Okay, you have
Okay.
the board's comments?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we heard the board's comments this morning. So we will install the wheel stops for the parking. We'll fix the fence. We'll paint and finish the masonry wall, both sides, including the residential side. And we'll remove the debris that was near the fence. The dumpsters. So there are 3 dumpsters because one is used for cardboard, one is used for other recyclables like plastic, metal cans, and the 3rd dumpster is used for trash. And we confirmed with the owner that the pickup schedule is twice a week.
Okay.
And the oil drums?
The oil drums, the owner has actually removed them because I think the requirement that we cited is actually only for service repair shops. And this isn't a repair shop, it's a convenience store and gasoline and gas station.
So we got the waiver from DEP, they said you can remove it. That's all right.
And then the landscaping bed near the parking, near the rear lot line, that actually is 5 feet. We showed it as 3 feet on our plans, but then the owner installed it as 5 feet. So we can fix it on our plans and show photos showing that it's actually 5 feet.
Okay, great. Great. Okay.
And the walks, near the trash enclosure. It's connected to the.
It's the overfill alarm for the tank. So when the tanks are filled up with the gas,
Sorry,
it's an alarm bell inside, and it is waterproof. So it has. It's an alarm bell for overfill tank protection that rings when the tanks are full. So these are waterproof, and everybody has it same way. And gate doesn't touches it. Gate is a little bit away from it.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I think
Okay,
that's
that's great.
it. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, good news about the oil containers. They're moving.
Yeah, the
right?
doors are removed. Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So again, for your submission, sorry. I'm just checking my notes.
You want
So
photos
you,
of key
and so the
plans?
wooden, yeah, but so the wooden fence, you're going to repair that, right? And you're going to paint the masonry wall on both
Yes.
sides?
Both sides, right?
Okay. Okay, and submit the photos with a key plan, right?
Yeah, only the new photo shown on the key plan.
Right. Yeah, don't show us 37 when there's only 5. Okay.
That's our mistake. Sorry for that. That we use the actually old key plan, but that's our mistake.
Yeah.
Next
Okay.
time we'll be careful.
Okay.
Madam
all
Chair,
right.
Madam Chair, you wanted the fire department about the drums or something, so I guess now that they're removed?
Right, so fire department, do you have any additional comments? Because they're taking the drums away, so may not be an issue.
Or not an issue. It's not permitted as of right because it's not a repair garage, but since they're removing it, we have no objection.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to then invite the public to speak on this, if we have anybody in the public who would like to speak.
This case is 18797BZ, 148-02 Rockaway Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, so how much time would you need to make those changes?
Yeah, we can have the changes finished in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. So I'm not sure we can accommodate the 2 weeks, but okay. So I would actually then, I don't think we had anybody call in, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I would like then to make a motion to close. And then based on what we see in the submission in 2 weeks, we can decide what the conditions are moving forward. I would like to, again, express my appreciation to you and your client for being so responsive to the board's comments during difficult times when construction and maintenance is not as easy as it might be. So then, a motion to close. Thank you. A motion to close.
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Vice Chair Chanda, I'm sorry. Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Sheta? Commissioner Sheta?
We didn't.
Aye.
We lost him. There you go.
Commissioner Shabeta?
Aye.
Okay, so the case is closed. Okay. Thank you. Next item is item number 20, 90-91BZ, 636 City Island Avenue, the Bronx.
Good morning.
Is it only you, Amanda?
No, there's also John Chaffone
Okay.
and Mike Just.
Okay, are they going to show up? They're on phone or they're going to open up on Zoom?
I think they're on the phone.
Okay.
I'm here, John Chaffone. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
I just.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have to swear you in. Raise your right hands, please, so those who are in the view. Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name, Ms. Ionati, for the record, and proceed.
Amanda Ionati on behalf of the applicant. Good morning. We heard the board's comments this morning. John, the applicant and owner, is on the line. So I think it just makes sense for him to address the board first. John, are you there?
Yes, I am. Okay, good morning, everybody. I want to say a couple of things. The first thing is the property contains, as you know, 4 stores and 2 residential apartments above. So it's predominantly a commercial property with stores. And as you referred to earlier, COVID-19 affected not only the ability of the stores to operate in a normal capacity, but their ability to pay rent and other expenses. Beyond that, where the BSA asked me to put the bushes is a significant area. It's quite a significant area of bushes. It's a significant distance. Beyond that, it's a driveway. It's a driveway that I wished I could have used a sledgehammer, but we couldn't use a sledgehammer. You wouldn't get far with a sledgehammer. You had to use multiple jackhammers. And in fact, I was told we broke a few of them because it's 12-inch thick, solid cement. Now, it's one thing if I'm building a skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan or in Brooklyn, or Long Island City, where I have the open vacant land and I can, I can plant nice bushes. While I'm in deference to all of you there, I want you to understand this is not an easy task to break 12 feet of real strong concrete designed to hold cars. It was a parking area. And we did that in this economy. To get the bushes was very difficult, as you referred to, the chairperson referred to earlier, Ms. Perlmutter. We did it. I have no problems putting the additional topsoil, the plantings, the mulch. But I beg all of you to give me a little opportunity. I can't do what, I think you ultimately want us to strive to commit to. It's just it's not feasibly possible, dealing with breaking 12 inches of concrete, and B, it costs us a lot of money. It costs me at least $30,000 right now to break that concrete, to haul the big pieces of concrete, the dirt, to get the bushes and whatnot. It was at least $30,000. I think that's without the bushes, I should say, just the work. So I ask all of you to, I'll put as much topsoil and mulch to keep those trees in the best possible ability to grow and to flourish. But, I believe me, I didn't do it half-stepped intentionally. It was a very expensive and costly and difficult job. I want you to understand that. I wish the ground was open. I would have done a lot. It would have been cheaper and much better. But please understand the difficulty in this particular task.
Okay, Commissioner Sheta, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I'm not sympathetic, and the applicant is trying to imply that we tortured them when we asked them to install that landscaping. Breaking 12-inch thick concrete pad, and I'm not sure if it was 12-inch thick, but even breaking 3 feet thick mat foundation for a building is not a big deal, and it shouldn't break 3 hammers on a job like this. If you have used a saw cut, it could have been cheaper and much more like precise job. Saw cut. If you hire somebody who knows how to remove concrete, he could have advised you that a saw cut could have been much cheaper, much precise, and more clean. So please do not blame us for asking you to install landscaping.
I didn't blame anyone. You misunderstood me, with all due respect. I blamed you. I said, please consider my task and have, give me a little slack, I guess is another way to say it. But I never, Commissioner, I disagree with you. Anyone have an opinion otherwise? I never blamed the commission. That
So
was your
you've been
suggestion.
asked to do
I
something.
don't know. Okay, I think we heard John out here.
Yeah.
If we could just look at the photos and maybe the site plan and see if any adjustments, maybe could be made to the arrangement or the layout to make it a little bit easier for him to move forward. We would appreciate that. For instance, so he did extend the planting bed all the way up the driveway where the site plan didn't have that. I think if we could keep it the way he did it, that would be good. Otherwise, so if we could all look at A001, the original site plan didn't have the planting bed all the way to the street. He did install
Wait,
that all the way
just
to the street.
Hold on a second. We need to get there because
Okay.
I don't know if everyone's looking at the drawings yet. I'm still
Yeah.
loading the drawing.
Okay.
So this is the drawing that was submitted on August 27.
No,
no,
October 3rd
This is the October 3rd submission.
of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
And then if you want to open the photos that I recently submitted, photo one side by side with A001.
okay. Hold on a second. Oops. Wrong.
Yes, I do see that
Yeah.
the bed has been extended along
So
the
he-
entire lot
yeah.
line of parcel B.
Yeah, he extended it all the way to the street. I would ask if he could just keep that portion the way it is, especially because that's actually adjacent to a commercial building. At a minimum, he could do the topsoil there. No wheel stops are necessary and maybe some mulch. And then from the driveway to the back, that could just be the way it is. We'll amend the site plan accordingly.
Yes, Ms. Anati, as you have gathered from this board, we love more planting. So if you're volunteering to provide more planting along the lot line, that's great. And
Yeah.
as I think Mr. Green, if I'm forgetting his name, I apologize.
No.
I'm sorry. He
Giaffone.
did say that he would in future ensure that mulch and
Yeah.
topsoil
Absolutely.
is provided. And
Right.
that will ensure the sustainability and the
Yes.
full growth of the plant.
Okay.
What I do have question is that we had asked the planting to be also located along which would be on the north side of the parcel.
Yes.
Which is abutting the residential. And the photo didn't pick it, no, the photos that you provided didn't pick it up. Can you
Right.
please confirm if those plantings have been provided?
John,
Yeah,
can you
we did have-
confirm this went all the
we
way
did have-
around?
Yeah, it went all the way. It's a complete L. So from the driveway, from the beginning of the driveway, all the way to the straight in to the end, and then all the way to the left. So it's a complete L, reverse
And-
L.
But what about the completion of the sort of U? Because so the issue, Mr. Can you pronounce your name so I don't keep?
I stand correct. It's beyond the L because it goes all the way down it goes to the side as well. So it's beyond the L. It could be a U, yeah, not a complete U.
It's a
but
J.
a U.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a J.
It's a
crooked
J,
U.
right?
Yeah. A J
Okay.
is a better.
All right. So some of it is that
Correct.
we don't have photographs that clearly indicate what's where, right?
All right, we can get you more.
So can you?
Also, I just
give-
wanted to point out that the planting bed requested by the board was 4 feet wide. I don't believe that this is reflective of 4 feet just by eye from the photos. Would the board be amenable to leaving it the width that he did it?
We don't know what the width is.
John, do you know
Right.
the width that they
It's
excavated?
approximately, it varies, but it's roughly about, each planting was about 4 feet apart, I believe.
No, the width that you broke up the concrete away from the fence.
Oh,
Front to back.
it was about almost 4 feet, maybe about 3.5. We had issues because the driveway, we have to consider the driveway element. I didn't want to take too much space off the driveway, and we wanted it to be consistent, the look.
So if we could
we kept it.
measure and adjust the site plan accordingly, I would ask if the
Are we
existing
saying-
width could
Are
remain.
we saying that we broke concrete? You broke concrete 4 feet wide?
It doesn't appear to be 4 feet.
No, it was
I
about.
believe this is maximum 18 inches.
No, it's more than that.
I
No, it
think
was
it looks about 2 feet to me, but I'm
No, it
not.
wasn't 2 feet.
I
It
don't
was at
want to
least-
have a discussion about what it looks like. Let's
Right,
measure
so I'm
it.
asking if
was
if
about-
what it is if the board is okay with leaving
about
it what
3
it
feet.
is and we'll adjust the site plan accordingly.
So we don't know until we hear what it is. So let's
Okay.
adjust the site, submit a site plan with the measurements, the field
Okay.
measurements, because
Okay,
if it's too shallow, then the trees won't live, right?
okay,
So the other part of it is that, so we need a new site plan, right?
Yes.
Because what we have doesn't look like the picture.
right,
And then the other part of it is, all of my understanding about how planting beds work is that they have to be a certain depth. So you have to have dug down a certain depth to equal the minimum depth of the tree ball. Otherwise, the plant dies, right? And that
Correct.
normally there's a curb, and the curb has a variety of functions, one of which, because you have cars that can drive right on the edge of the planting bed, they'll collapse the concrete at the edge of the planting bed, which is why you put a curb so that the cars don't drive over it, right? So you didn't pour a curb here, which is really what's required. The reason for the wheel stops is for you have all of those numbers 8 through 18 parking spaces. The reason for the wheel stops is so that the cars don't hang over and kill the plants, right? And so you need to have the wheel stops. So,
We do have it for the parking element. For the parking spots, we have that cement device, so the cars can't go beyond.
yeah, you have
We
some
have
in the
that.
photos, they're just
We have
not
that.
arranged correctly, John, yeah.
yeah. So that's the thing is, we don't see them in the photographs. I have no idea.
Okay,
Okay, we could get you
Right.
pictures of that, sure.
Okay.
all right.
So,
I'm
you know,
just taking some notes. So we'll revise the site plan
Okay.
to reflect the current planting and conditions. Add a curb along the driveway as the cars come in to the site plan. We'll add a concrete curb. And then I guess we'll come back to the board for review of that site plan.
yes. So the thing is, again, I'm not really sure how planting beds work when there's no curb, and when I'm looking at the photograph, but I'm not sure of what. The whole purpose of this landscaping isn't just for us to torture the property owner so that they plant little shrubs, right? It's not that. It's to protect the residents from the use by having dense buffering. And the way that this was done didn't do that, right? So I doubt seriously the longevity of these shrubs. And in addition to which, the spacing is very far apart, and they are planted very short. I mean, it looks like you bought 3 foot maximum, maybe 30-inch high shrubs. that's going to take 10 years before they get to be even the height of the fence. So it
Right.
sort of negates the purpose of actually doing this. That was why I really, and this is for Ms. Ionati and her relationships with her clients. Please don't have your clients go ahead and do things because cheap is expensive, right? And I am sorry that it
Understood.
cost so much money, but it was done in a way that made cheap expensive. It's always like that, unfortunately. And so,
Understood. John, I think you've heard the board's comments today. We'll amend the site plan, and then John, you do have to install it the way it is going to be shown and the way that we agree upon on this next version of the site plan.
right. So don't do any additional work.
No. Okay.
Because the board may not agree with what you've done. I'm looking at the photographs and I'm having extreme trouble imagining that those are even 3-foot deep planting beds. And then I don't understand how the bushes will grow higher than what you see right there if they survive at all. We require those depths for a reason. And Mr. Chaffoni, if that's how you pronounce your name, I'm really sorry. We see very, very, very often this kind of situation where they cut the concrete and they install proper beds. So we're familiar with it and it's done. So, and most of the time it's done by professionals who install them properly. So I understand the issues about expense, but that's the exchange that you get that you have to make when you're given permission to operate a use that's not consistent with the neighborhood. That, in other words, you got a variance for it. It's not for free that you get the variance. You have to give back something to the community. And I think that landscaping is a very small give back. Okay. Any other comments?
Can I just say?
Yes.
Can I just make a comment? I understand what you're saying, and I'm not, believe me, I'm not arguing that point to you. Just if you give me a little more of the ability to work with this, I could even put some flowers in. I don't mind. But, originally, I think when this plan was done with the BSA and the approvals, you were talking about a very big restaurant, a very big restaurant. And that since closed, and we made individual stores, so, you're dealing with 4 stores and not a big diner, which I think which was the original agreement and understanding between all the parties when this first came to fruition. So I'd like you to consider that well.
Right. But at the same time, you're in a residence district and you have commercial use in a low scale residential district. And that's a very special privilege to enjoy. Your potential other option is to turn the whole thing into residential, right?
Mhm.
So this is a continuation of an old variance, and you need to maintain the property in a way that's respectful of the community. And so we'll look at the proposed revised site plan and see whether we find it credible, and then we can get back to you. Okay. So I'd like to invite Commissioner Otley Brown, go ahead.
I just want to add that the previously approved plans for this case actually had landscaping. So it's not like this came out of the blue. This was dealt with by a previous board, and they also wanted landscaping.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to open this up to the public.
Okay, the
For comment?
application we are currently discussing is 90-91BZ, 636 City Island Avenue, the Bronx. And the call information is on the screen.
Okay. So how much time to submit the response?
Mike, are you there?
I'm
How much
here.
time to amend the site plan to reflect the existing conditions?
2 weeks. I have to get there and measure, and I guess 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks to submit? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if we can accommodate that, but we'll try, okay? All right, do we see anyone dial in?
No.
No, okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Just and Mr. Chaffone for dialing in and participating, and we appreciate it, okay?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Ian.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, this concludes the public review, the public hearing for September 14th at 10 a.m. We will resume at 2 p.m. for the afternoon calendar.
Great, thank you, everybody. See you later.
Thank you.